Oh, yes. I think I will start explaining. For context, I have been in retail for years. Sometimes I have been the manager, other times the low man on the block. I don't know if any of you know the feeling, but retail is soul crushing work. Usually it's not hard, even when it's much better than other jobs, but it wears on you quickly. I had reached my limit when I began searching for a different gig. I have a pretty decent resume, so applied to tons of jobs. I was particular though, desperately trying to get out of retail. Fast forward 4 months, I hadn't gotten a single call back. I felt extremely defeated and stuck to say the least. One evening, I decided to go for a drive just to get out of my apartment and clear my head. I headed towards the far end of my town, just relaxing. I live in the southern tip of my town, and to get all the way to the next country, it takes about 40 minutes. Near the line, I saw something new. Just off the right side of the main road, I saw what looked like a new street. There was no street lights, no painted lines, yet as I got closer, I saw that it was indeed new pavement. Curiosity got the best of me and I turned onto it. It was very dark under the canopy of trees, which loomed overhead and seemed to gather in the middle. For some reason, this raised the hair on my neck. I thought, fuck it, and kept driving. This new road meandered through the forest, never straight. Before long, the trees opened up, and there it was. Settled in what had to be the heart of the forest was a brand new car lot. There were balloons, neon signs, and one of those wacky top guys flailing in a phantom breeze produced by its own phone. Totally normal were for a car lot, except there were no cars. I slowed my Honda and pulled in to take a minute and turn around. I didn't see anyone around. The lights were on inside, and though it was a small building, I got the feeling it was hiding something terrible inside. Weird, I know, but I just had a bad feeling. You know what I mean? Like one of those liminal spaces people talk about. Seconds later, though I had to admit it, I found myself screaming to the top of my lungs. Just outside my window, a rather lanky, tall man was knocking. He was in cheap suits, with dark hair slicked back and bright eyes peering at me. I gathered my wits and rolled my window down, ready to apologize for being here. Hello, sir, how do you do? He said to me before I could get a word out. I'm perfectly fine, but I'm headed out. Sorry for stopping here, I told him. I was looking around like crazy, trying to plan how to quickly get away from the conversation. Then I saw a help wanted sign. I was just driving through looking for work, but I'm sorry to have bothered you, I said rather quickly. That is just perfect, he almost seemed to roar. I'm looking for salesmen. Come on out and let's talk. Before long, I found myself sitting down at his desk inside. We talked for a good long time. He offered me a great opportunity. If you have never been in the car business, it goes like this. Commission is your cut of a sale. Front end, it what the lot makes versus what they paid for the car, and is any fees you can take onto the sale. A salesman gets a certain percentage of those aspects. Here he offered me 50% commission. I have since learned that is almost unheard of in the car selling world. On top of that, he also granted me salary 65k just to show up as he put it. And the best part, I wasn't required to do anything marketing. He told me the customers would come all on their own. Like I said, how could I refuse? I wish I had. Eventually, after I accepted, he told me to go home and get some rest, not to worry about coming to work until Monday of next week. But he would start my salary as of now. I thought that was a little crazy, but I wasn't going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Now I found myself with a 4-day weekend and a well paying job. I hadn't felt happiness ever like I felt in those 4 days. Monday rolled around and in I went. I got my own office. Hell, I had the whole place to myself. When I walked in, there was a note with my name on it and no one else around. The note was actually a list of rules, five to be exact. Rule number one was don't go into the boss office ever. Number two was don't call the boss ever. Number three, don't question the boss. Number four, if a customer comes looking for a car they saw from an ad, we have it even if there are no cars on the lot. And number five was the weirdest one, never turn your back to the boss's door. I was, of course, weirded out, but there was also a check attracted to the note. A check for the full 65k salary. Rule number two, don't call. So I didn't. I began to get comfortable. Shit, this was going to be the easiest job I have ever had. For nearly a month, there were no customers and no cars showed up to sell. I went in every day, played around on my phone, and backed out of the doorway when I locked up in the evening. I was the last day of that first month when I had a customer. Being there by myself, I was honestly kind of worried. I hadn't been trained, but I was going to try and help them if I could. The customer had arrived in an almost brand new Cadillac. I had no idea what they may want. I let him get out and come to the door. Before I could even say hello, I heard the office across from mine open up. As I shifted to see what was going on, the boss was standing right beside me. He vehemently shook our first customer hand and ushered him into his office. Before going inside himself, he came to me. You are doing excellent, young man. Every rule followed to a T. Why don't you go on home for the day? Here is your check, he said with a large, toothy grin. I looked down and was shocked to see another large check. This one was for the amount of 75k. What is? I began to say but quickly shut up. No, questioned the boss. I don't know why I blindly followed these rules, but I was being paid a ridiculous amount, so might as well. He smiled, which sent a chill down my back, and said he just knew I would sell one today, so my monthly paycheck had been increased to include my commission. You read that right. I was getting at minimum 65k a month. Like holy hell, this massive life-changing money. You best believe I shut up, walked backwards to the front door and left. That was almost 6 months ago. You will be surprised to learn that the almost new Cadillac was sitting on our lot, priced and ready to sell by the next morning. This happened no less than 5 times a month following the first time. I was making massive amounts of money. Life outside of work was amazing, but I never forgot that the boss was in the office all time. The odd rules, the strange feeling the place gave me. It was beginning to make me feel nauseous. Every time we had a customer come in, they were almost always driving brand new cars. I never got the chance to speak them, and the boss would send me home early. The vessels were always on the lot, ready to sell by next morning. Life was great until about a month ago. Our customer count has really skyrocketed. I'm talking 15 to 20 people a day, people I recognize from town. Our lot was beyond full. See, none of the cars being left behind are ever sold, even though our influx of business kept growing. The thought that something odd is going on is almost overwhelming at this point. That feeling is worse knowing that I have seen less and less people around town since we started getting busy. Hell, it's almost like everyone has left. 3 days ago, I hit a breaking point when I came in and saw some heavy machinery stacking the cars on top of each other. How in the hell are we supposed to sell half-crashed cars? I had enough. I went into the office and immediately broke a rule by knocking on the boss's door. On the last knock, the door opened on its own, revealing a dim-lit room with nothing inside. The boss was not there. Nothing was there. Nothing. Then I broke another rule. I called him. Shocker here, but the line never rang. I got an automated message saying the phone number was disconnected. Strike three was when I turned my back to the door and walked to my desk. As I turned to sit, the boss was sitting at my desk yet again. I began to scream before calming down enough to laugh out loud. You know, I thought you were smarter than this. Do I not keep you comfortable enough? He said, with that sickening smile on his face again. Yes, sir, you do. I just. How can we sell stacked cars? We haven't sold a single one anyways. But we can't sell stacked cars, can we? I blurted out. I have no qualms in saying I was scared. His eyes darkened as I slid into my chair. His frown is worse than his grin. He told me that I had broken all the important rules but one. He said he was disappointed. My punishment was to be present during his next sale. He said it was my turn to learn. Like I said, that was 3 days ago. We haven't had another customer yet, but I'm terrified. Shit, I gotta get off of here. I car just pulled up and the boss's door just opened. What do you think happened next? Let me know your thoughts into comments. I read all comments. Please help me. I have just gotten home from my psychopharmacology class at the community college. I was exhausted and wanted nothing more than to have a quick dinner and conk out in bed, excited to wake up in the morning to a day of no classes. Before I even stepped through the threshold, I felt the familiar feeling of being watched. My heart sank when the note on the fridge confirmed my suspicions. My aunt had an emergency and both my parents were gone to help her, so I was home alone tonight. I have always hated being home alone for as long as I can remember. I have no idea why, but whenever I'm home alone, I was always feel like I'm being watched, stalked. My parents were never much help. When I was a kid, they would wave it off as my overactive imagination. Now they wouldn't even talk about it. They always say something to the effect of, Christ's sake, Allison, you are 20 years old. Surely you have gotten over that juvenile fear by now. Obviously, I haven't, but as they say, I'm 20 years old now. Even if I am scared, I'm much too old to let it get to me. I went to the kitchen to continue my mission for dinner and scrounged up a packet of instant potatoes and chicken nuggets. I only half paid attention as I mixed the potato on the stove, hitting my hand on the hot pot once or twice. As I said, I was exhausted, but I snapped back to attention real quick when out of the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow move at the kitchen door. When I turned to look, there was nothing there, so I continued on with my dinner. I sat down at the table with my food and started shoveling it all into my mouth, desperate to finish it as fast as humanly possible. Then I saw a face at the door, crouched like a child peeking around the door frame to try and scare you, only visible from the eyes up. It was humanoid. But I would hesitate to say it was a human. The black hair was thin and wispy, and it looked like it had never seen a brush. The skin wasn't just pale, but opaque and the brightest shade of white you will ever seen, almost like clown makeup, but I could see the texture was that of just skin. The eyes, though, why is it always the eyes that are the worst? Were they even eyes? They really just look like endless abysses of darkness where their eyes should have been. I jumped so hard I damn near fell out of my seat, but when I looked back towards the door, it was gone. I couldn't decide what to think. Had someone gotten into house? Or was I losing it? I thought I had to have imagined it. I was in school to be a therapist, so it should have been ridiculous for me to have thought otherwise. If nothing else, I know that hallucinations exactly like this are a really common sign of sleep deprivation. So I assumed it was probably just the amount of overworking myself without proper rest finally catching up with me. I still couldn't shake that feeling of being watched though. I'm usually okay at ignoring it, but after seeing in the face, I was just making everything so much worse. You are probably going to groan at what I did next, but let me remind you that at this point, I was fully convinced it wasn't real, that I just needed to reassure myself. So I pushed my plate aside and made my way out to the hallway. There was nothing there, so I felt I could breathe, even with my knee relief. I still figured it would be a good idea to double check the locks on the doors and windows. So I did exactly that, and when I knew every lock was secure, I returned to my plate in the kitchen. That nagging feeling just wouldn't let up, and I couldn't bring myself to just sit down. I got the notion that maybe a distraction would be best and brought my food into the living room. I turned on the TV, some stupid comedy that I hoped would at least be funny enough to take my mind off things. It mostly worked. It eased my anxiety enough to eat, but I still had to hold back a gasp every time I saw that face out of the corner of my eyes, just like in the kitchen, peeking around the corner. To further prove that I was imagining it, it will never stay long, it will never move, never got closer to me or even made a noise. It just peeked around the corner and watched. I didn't even finish the movie. As soon as my plate was empty, I got up, threw my dishes into the dishwasher, and headed upstairs for a well deserved early bedtime. The sun hadn't even begun to set yet. I don't know how long I would been sleeping before the thump woke up me. It felt like I would just close my eyes, but when I opened them, it was pitch black outside. Then a shuffling sound at the door demanded my attention. I looked over and saw the face again. This time I saw it move. Cause when I screamed, I did not close my eyes and I saw it run away, just a white bunny blur, as it ran down across the doorway towards the stairs. My first instinct was to hide, but the last thing I wanted to do was trap myself with it. I had no desire to follow it down the stairs, so there was only one other option, out the window. Unfortunately, there isn't a tree conveniently located in the perfect spot for me to climb down, so I had to get creative. There was a drain pipe nearby that I could pray would hold my weight, but I knew that even if it could, there was no way my hands would be able to keep a grip on it all the way down. What I could keep my grip on was the rope that held my curtains open when I wanted to let in the sunlight, so I grabbed it and down I went, with the rope pulled as tightly as I could under the drain pipe. It shook with every movement, making me less and less sure that it would hold me. I squeezed my eyes shut as I inched my way down. The pipe couldn't hold me, of course, but when I fell, I was only about 6 feet off the ground, so while the impact really hurt my shoulder, I didn't sustain any injuries. I ran as fast as I could to a McDonald's that was a ways away but always busy no matter what time it is, and waited for my friend to pick me up. I have been staying in her dorm with her since. I was going to go home after my parents got back, but when I told them what happened, they rolled their eyes and said that they would thought I was past it. That when I turned 5 and stopped talking about the face and my complaints only become that I felt like I was being watched, they thought for sure it would go away on its own. Honestly, even after that night, I could immediately believe it was a hallucination, but now knowing that his face was haunting me throughout my entire childhood, well, how likely do you think it to not be real? I think for now it's best that I don't be around them and I have begun looking for my own place.